Carmelo Anthony has just officially been charged as an adult for the first-degree murder of Austin Metcalf. He faces no less than life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years, although he will never be granted that due to what his unique situation is going to expose him to once he gets behind bars. Now, as someone who has done 10 years in state prison, I have seen no one else online talk about the fact that there is something very out of the ordinary that Karmelo is going to have to be put through and experience, and he's going to be housed, put around the most dangerous and reckless kinds of inmates for his first 3 years. And that and them are surely going to set him up to experience a living nightmare, the worst kind of experience you can have once you enter into another part of the prison after that 3 years. This is just a concoction of the worst things that could happen for him going into prison. And I'm going to break it all down and explain why and everything else to you in this video. Let's get started. So, first things first, my previous video is about Karmelo commenting on what his prison experience will be like and why. Most people enjoy it. I'm glad you did. That's why I'm still doing it. But I got a lot of comments. You idiot. You big old doofus. I bet you feel stupid right now, don't you, buddy? Because little do you know, Karmelo's not even being charged as an adult. He's 17. He's fine, you idiot. None of what you say is even relevant or making sense. People, listen. I'll never claim to know a lot about a little. I won't claim to know a little about a lot. But I know one thing about one thing. I know just about everything when it comes to prison. Because I went in at 19 and came out at 29. And I spent about a third of my life there, okay? I know a good bit about prison and how it works. I don't care if you're 17. You plunge a knife into an innocent boy's heart at a high school event. Oh boy, oh buddy, they're not sending you to Ronald McDonald's Hamburglar jail and that shit, get in the ball pit for 20 minutes. You're doing some hard time. So of course they've charged him as an adult now. We all saw that coming. I don't know why anybody thought that that wasn't going to happen. But anyways, I want to read y'all something. This is how this works. Even though he's being charged as an adult, he is still in fact 17, probably soon to be 18. At least by the time this all goes to court, he'll be 18. Let me read you something. So here it states, in Texas, a person under 21 who is incarcerated for a juvenile offense is generally treated as a juvenile, even if they were prosecuted as an adult. This means they would be housed in a juvenile detention facility, not a prison dorm. Texas Juvenile Justice Department facilities are separate from adult prisons. Now, that's kind of tricky because it says incarcerated for a juvenile offense. Is this a juvenile offense or is it an adult offense? Either way, I wanted you to be aware of this because I want you to know it really doesn't matter whether they do it this way and he spends because by the time he goes to court and gets found guilty, of course he'll get found guilty. He'll be 18. That's 3 years he needs to spend until he's 21. And then you get moved into an adult facility if he gets sent to a juvenile facility. If that's not the case and he is sent to an adult prison right away at age 18, I want y'all to know this is how state prisons operate. There is a specific dorm created for inmates who are tried and convicted as adults, but who are not over the age of 21. They put them all together. That means you can be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Once you turn 21, they get you out of there and you're in there with the big boys. But you got to realize there is a dorm a unit, a cell block, whatever you want to call it, in adult prisons, every state you go to, and it is jam packed of 17, 18, 19, and 20-year olds. Oh my God. I can't imagine. It's so bad. It is so bad because you're not dealing with, I just, whatever prejudice you have about inmates of any age, I get it. But you got to understand there is a huge difference. You got these young boys, and these days, these young boys are different. 17, 18, 19, 20. They're so different. They still want to be cool. They still want to be relevant. They still want to be rap stars. They want to be superstars. They want to be viral. They want to have their name popping in the streets and on the internet. They want to be beating people up. They think it's cool. I want to carry the biggest knife. I want to be breaking all the rules. I want to be uncontrollable. I want to be causing trouble. And it doesn't matter if he goes to a juvenile camp. Honestly, the amount of people, grown adults in prison, I have heard tell me that juvie is worse than prison because it's the environment. Can you imagine, remember on the internet, the worst teenagers you've ever seen, the most disrespectful, out of pocket, out of hand, over the line. Oh my gosh, just god awful, delinquent teenagers you've ever seen on the internet. There's an entire cell block full of about 50, 60, 75 of them. There's no adults there. There's no strong men who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s to kind of put the kibosh on this juvenile thinking and behavior and mindset. It is just, it's awful. It is nothing but violence and how cool it is to be violent, how cool it is to run around and beat people up and hurt people and stab people and beat them to a pulp, extort them. What is the coolest, most badass thing we can do, man? Let's be so gangster. And it's almost like the worst summer camp you've ever been to with all these stupid little kids who haven't let the reality set in that most of them are in there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Like Karmelo, he'll be in there for 40 years minimum. He's going to be in there for the rest of his life, obviously. But that's the situation you're dealing with most of these kids. And they still have the mindset that it's cool to kill people, stab people, hurt people, beat people up, disobey the officers, cause trouble, just what you would expect out of today, 2025's teenagers. Okay. So imagine Karmelo, he goes to prison and he's placed right into the middle of that. This is a extreme gang infested environment because these young kids think gangs are the end all be all. They think gangs are so cool. They really take the gang stuff serious because they still think people on the outside will care about how thug and gangsta they are in prison. They don't realize all these people are going to grow up, get in a relationship, have kids, get married, get a job, get a house, get a car, get a life, get a hobby, and forget about you. And no one's going to care about how thug you are. No one's going to care. You're going to be in there begging for baby Ruths because you're hungry. You're going to be hand washing your boxers and drying them on a clothesline that you made out of a shoestring in your cell. Okay. They don't realize that yet. And so kind of what gets put into your head and what's going to be put into Karmelo's head is it's cool to be in a gang. It's cool to go after weak people. It's cool to go after the weakest person. Let's beat them up. Let's stab them. Let's humiliate them. Let's emasculate them. Let's steal from them. Let's take everything they have. Let's rob them, extort them. And that's just what we do. It's so fun. Let's like 5, 6, 7, 8 of us gang up on somebody and beat them up. And that's a fun Friday night. That was fun. And then we're going to call home and tell some stupid loser chick who's probably in 11th grade about how thug I was and how we beat up this kid, and that is what is preached and taught is cool to do. I don't know if y'all can really grasp the seriousness of that is the lifestyle in this dorm. And you are a product of your environment, and birds of a feather flock together. And when in Rome, you do as Romans do, especially an impressionable young 17, 18-year-old like Karmelo, who really, he's not a thug. He's not from the hood. He is from a very rich neighborhood, and he sees these rappers and these gangsters online, and he wants to be like them. And so he killed someone because he wanted to be a gangster. But he doesn't realize you're going to be put into a place where like he doesn't know the difference between real gangsters and just him pretending, right? They're going to teach him so many bad habits because all this juvenile mindset, this young man mindset, this young person mindset, you turn 21, now you go into the adult cell blocks with 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old men. They don't tolerate that. They don't play that. You're not going to run around here and cause chaos. We have prison politics. We have structure. We have order. If you want to do anything, you got to go through the proper channels. You got to talk to this guy, and he'll talk to this guy, and he'll talk to this guy. And then we'll get back to you and let you know, yeah, that's cool. Or yeah, you can't do that. Go ahead and get that thought out of your mind. This is summer camp for them. They don't get that. And so they teach you to come into a dorm with this wild animalistic mindset. And keep in mind, this guy's 130 pounds, running around probably with a knife or some stupid little weapon. This ain't the streets. You don't just get to pull your pointer finger back and eliminate whoever's in front of you. Every weapon you use, even if you use one or you don't, this is up close and personal physical strength, the mindset of having bad intentions to hurt and kill you. And you're not born with that. You're taught that through experience. And these young boys don't have that experience. These grown men, these older experienced men who have been down for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years and have another 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years to go, they are nightmares to these young boys who think they are so tough. And so many times, anyone, a CO who is watching, a corrections officer, formerly or currently who is watching, or a person who has done any significant amount of time, please verify in the comments. We see it so many times. These young kids come from these juvenile parts or these young person oriented parts of a prison and get placed into these very adult parts of prison. And they have been taught for the last 1, 2, 3 years, this is how you operate in prison. This is how you act in prison. This is what makes you cool. This is what makes you tough. This is what makes people like you and think you're cool and popular. You're not in high school. You're not in prison. You're not in correctional institution high anymore. You're in the big leagues, and you go there and you start acting like that, and they get... The nicest way to put it is a rude awakening, but let me tell you, it's extremely rude. It's awful. Karmelo Anthony's going to be taught a lot of bad habits by these young kids because he is so impressionable. Clearly, he's a suburbs kid. He's a good boy. By all means, he should have been a good boy, a good little boy, making straight A's, which there's nothing wrong with. That's what you should be. He wanted to be a thug so bad that he ended up in the land of real thugs. And so now he's around all these real thugs who came from real poverty and struggle and just killing lands, killing grounds. And he's going to get trampled for wanting to keep up. So he's going to get taught all these bad habits and then sent into the fire and brimstone of the adult part of the prison after 3 years of conditioning, 3 years of conditioning to act like an idiot, to act like the exact opposite of what will be tolerated once you enter the 21 and up part of prison. They are going to bend that boy over their knee and spank him. For lack of a better explanation, they're going to discipline that boy. Oh my goodness. And what makes it even worse, He doesn't even have his one thing that was going to keep him safe anymore. His hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is now by Give Send Go. I know it's not GoFundMe, it's some knockoff version. Give Send Go, it's not as regulated, but even Give Send Go is now, it's been found that they were fraudulent with some part of their fundraising and what it was meant for and where it went to. They are being required to send all of that money back. He has no money to pay for protection. That was the one thing saving him. This is a guy who is false claiming a gang. That is one of the top 3 sins behind being a predator of children and being a snitch. Number 3, false claiming a gang. He's up here holding up gang signs for the Insane Vice Lords, a very prevalent gang in Texas prison systems. He's claiming to be a Vice Lord. They're not going to like that. And all the other gangs are going to look at the Vice Lords and be like, this is kind of on you. It's kind of like stolen valor. Have you ever seen that where people like wear army or military uniforms and medals, but they were never in the army or military just for some stupid, crazy reason? They just thought it's cool, or they just want to be a part of something they never really earned the right, never put the work in to be a part of, and they go out in public and pretend to be part of the military, and real military soldiers pull up on them and like question them and expose them. It's kind of like that. The same outrage these real military veterans and soldiers feel when they see someone pretending. I'm just telling you the facts. You don't have to agree that it's the same thing. I'm just trying to get you to understand. That is how gangs feel about someone pretending to be in their gang. Because some of these guys, call them what you want, they'll die for their shit. They'll die for their gang. They'll kill for their gang. And you're over here from Frisco, Texas, one of the most lucrative parts of Texas. Buddy, you are not a gangster. There is no gang activity going on in Frisco, Texas. You're over here holding up an airsoft gun that you cut off the tips and all the indicators to show this is a toy gun from Walmart. He changed all that to make it look real, to seem like a real gangster, and held up a gang sign like this. This is Insane Vice Lords. This is Vice Lords. This is Insane Vice Lords. You went to such great lengths to pretend. It's all eyes are going to be on the Insane Vice Lords, or even just the Vice Lords, because they are a branch of that. Whichever Vice Lords can get to you. It's on you first and foremost to discipline your own faker. If you're not, then we will. And he dang sure, and all these, here's another thing, all these people get in the comments, the black gangs are going to take him under their wing. He killed a white boy. The black gangs will love him. You're an idiot for thinking he's going to have issues in prison. The black gangs are going to take him under their wing. No, they are not. He pretended to be a part of a gang, and one of the ultimate sins you can commit as a gang, any gang, white gang, Mexican gang, Asian gang, Oriental gang, black gang, space alien gang, I don't care. You don't want to take someone who pretended to be a part of a gang when they're really not. You know why? Because you're taking in a weak person. So now all the other gangs look at you like you accept weak people. You accept liars. You accept pretenders. You accept people who are soft and don't live that lifestyle and aren't really tough. They're not really badass. They're not really gangster. They don't really come from that environment. And you allow them to get all the benefits of being in a gang. You're weak. So probably 70, 80, 90, 100, how many, maybe more than 50% of your members are soft. Because you seem to accept that and be okay with that. Maybe your entire gang is soft. Maybe we should kill you. Maybe we should wage war on you. Because clearly you have no standards for who you allow to be a part of your gang. You don't accept the toughest. You accept anybody who wants to come along and live a fairy tale. That is how it is viewed. No one, even the black gangs, are like, yeah, man, you screwed up. You false claimed a gang. That is a terrible thing to do. You can't do that. I don't care how stupid you think it is. Mary McGee living in your 3-story house out there in the suburbs. You need to know the gate code to get into your neighborhood, and the pool just opened for Memorial Day. Why would you understand? I'm telling you, this is how gangs in prison view this stuff. Black gangs are not going to protect this young man. They're going to despise him. No one's going to want to have anything to do with him, because if I associate with him, I associate myself with weakness, fakeness, and fraud. They're not going to do that. The only reason a gang would take him under their wing and protect him is because he has money to pay them with for doing so. Now he has none because he's been forced to give back the $600,000-$700,000 worth of donations for fraudulent fundraising. He's screwed by all accounts. You want to talk about possibility of parole in 40 years? If that man makes it 40 years, I'll delete my YouTube channel. You heard it here. Remember this video. That man makes it 40 years, I'll delete my YouTube channel. He won't. He won't. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. That's just my piece. That's my say based on my own experience. See you next time.